Registration for the 2023 AFCA convention is now open. Join us as AFCA returns to the Queen City. Mark your calendars for January 8th through the 10th, 2023 in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are attending the convention, dues, fees, and ticket requests not received by December 10th will be processed on-site at a higher convention fee and ticket price. For more information, visit afca.com.
This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Sterling College's head football coach, Darren Jackson. Coach Jackson tells us how he got his start in coaching, explains how he balances work and family, and walks us through the changes he is making at Sterling. Now, let's get inside the headset with Coach Jackson.
Coach Jackson, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. It's my pleasure to be sitting on with you. Congratulations on a new role. I know that's a couple months now at this point in time. I know you started this role here in March, and I'm super excited for you. What has it been like just so far, just kind of getting your feet wet and meeting all of the players and getting acclimated there at Sterling?
Man, it's been great. I got here hitting the ground running. I got here right around spring break, and then after spring break, we went right into spring ball. So it was meeting administration, meeting people in the community, alumni, boosters, shaking hands and meeting faces, and just letting them know what direction we're going now with the program. And so it was just hitting the ground running when I got here, hitting the ground running. For sure.
That's awesome, man. Well, once again, congratulations to you. Now, go back and look at your bio, resume, any of those kind of things. Man, you've seen it all, been everywhere. Just talking to you right before we got on the podcast about your last time. You're in Kansas right now. You're in North Carolina before that. There's Colorado before that, Missouri before that. Kind of been around different levels, different locations, different high school football, just everywhere that you've been. Clearly got a passion for this profession. How when did you know you want to be a ball coach? When did that come about?
And so I played my ball at Liberty University, and I had always known I was going to do high school football. And I was volunteering at Dan River, and everybody knows the Edmond brothers. Mm-hmm. I was actually volunteering there with their dad. He put me on. And we went to a camp at Liberty, and a couple of the coaches obviously coached me. Like, hey, man, I didn't know you wanted to coach. And I was like, well, I never even thought about it. They said, you thought about college ball? They don't know how to do it, don't know how to get in that. And my DC at the time said, I got a buddy that just took a job over. I'll reach out to him, see if it's something you fit into. And then next thing I know, I was at the apprentice school, Newport News, Virginia, as the linebackers coach. And been in, college and dipped down every now and then. But that's how I got into the college world. Just one of my coaches seeing me out there at camp and was with the Edmond boys and their dad and introduced me to college coaches and got me going.
That's awesome, man. How has your family, have they acclimated to the profession? Just the volatility, the maybe a short time here, just moving across the country. How's it been for them?
So that's a great question. Before I took the apprentice school job, I was engaged. Me and my wife were engaged, and the coach called me and said, "Now you need to sit your fiance down and explain to her this profession and what can happen, what cannot happen, to give her an idea of what is she's getting into, what y'all are getting into." And we're from the same area, grew up down the street from each other, both went to Liberty. And so we had that conversation, and she's been a trooper ever since. She's been my backbone. She's definitely the head coach at the house. And so we've been rolling through it, and I can say every opportunity has set us up. Every opportunity has been the best opportunity for us at that time.
And kind of with the volatility that does come with the profession, sometimes it's your decision, that you got to go to a next stop, or sometimes it's not. In your scenarios, whenever you're talking about the new spot, what are some, how does that dialogue start? Not necessarily what the conversation is. I know that's personal business, but when you got a couple things on the table, what's that dialogue with the wife like?
It's we do pros and cons. We don't doesn't always have to be money. It could be a position. It could be an area.
Yeah.
Is this best for our families? Is best good schools for our kids? I have 2 boys, and then we just outweigh the pros and cons where it fits for us right now in our lives. We pray about it when we look to God for guidance and helping us with our decision. I don't go in any of those decisions, whatever it may be, FBS, FCS, D2, just taking it and running it. When I get offered something, I always say, hey, I got to thank you for this opportunity, but let me, double back and check with my wife and let us, give us some time to think about it and pray about it before we come up with a decision. Absolutely,
man. Well, I love hearing that. And, hopefully the younger coaches that embark on this journey can kind of take note. I made the huge mistake, man. My first job, all I wanted to do was coach college. But it was kind of weird because I didn't really realize that until I started coaching high school ball. And man, me and my current wife, my wife now, we were just kind of dating at that point in time. We were relatively new dating, but really serious about each other. And I mean, everything was good, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Hey, I got a job," and I took it, and it said Texas A&M Commerce, I gotta go. And man, in hindsight, I'm lucky I'm married to her at this point in time, but like I just did not handle that correctly, and so that was a valuable lesson learned as we move forward and got engaged and got married and bounced around. Now, you just made mention that I made mention that you started this gig at Sterling in March, and as anybody knows, just establishing that culture, what you vision for a program, all those good things is super important to kind of get that set in stone as quickly as possible. And here over these first couple months here, how have you been able to do that? Not just with the players, because you're able to kind of afford a lot more time with them, but the support staff, the administration, the campus. How have you been able to kind of put your stamp on the Sterling football program?
Being personable, being punctual, being accountable, being able to do what you say you're going to do, being able to be seen, give people the time of day, listen to them. They might have something on their mind or chest they want to get off, and me just being noticeable, being out and on campus, speaking to people, just being personable and listening to, their ideas and what can they bring to the table. I'm new, so obviously more than I know about the campus and what's going on. So I'm listening, I'm taking it all in, and then I'm giving them direction in what we're doing on the program and where we're standing, where we're at, what we're doing, and making sure the players know that, hey, they're going to be accountable for what their actions are on and off the field, what I'm bringing to the table. And it's been great. It's something new for them to see the coach more often around campus and being at different events. And just letting them know who I am. What you see is what you're going to get. It's not an act. It's not an act. And a couple of people say, man, you're who you say you are when I've talked to you on the phone or when I've read articles about you. And it's been an image when I see you in person. And that's what I want. I want them to see that and feel that.
Absolutely, man. Well, like I said, that's pivotal to moving the program forward. Now, what's also pivotal is getting some guys on board that can share your vision as assistant coaches. And just talk to me a little bit about, especially, I'm assuming this is probably your first time maybe handling hiring. I don't know how many positions you actually hired yourself, with retaining or anything like that. But, what was that hiring process like for you?
Yes, because when I took over at Trinity Bible College as the head coach, I just kept everybody. Like there was no getting guys going, bringing in guys. So this part here was new. I got to interview everybody that was currently on staff, and then interview guys that I wanted to bring in that I was familiar with, that I knew. And what I took in consideration and liked was guys on staff wanted to do things. They wanted to learn new things. They wanted to be a part of a different culture that was new, that they could learn and further their careers as well. And then I was able to bring in 4 guys. So it was an even mix, 4 and 4, to be on staff. So we're gelling, and with any staff, you got to learn each other's nuances. But it's been going great. We got a spring under our belt. And so it's been going great. It's been going in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. Now, as far as the 4 that were retained, I something that I always did that kind of bothered myself was when I would take a new job or be somewhere else or be around a different offensive coordinator, I would say, man, we used to do it like this. I used to do it like this. It was always kind of taking some stuff from other places and implementing. I hate I would say that around the offensive coordinator, head coach, but it would just roll off my tongue naturally. How much of some of the stuff that they used to do at Sterling, how much are you kind of taking in and putting an ear on it and saying, okay, I like that idea. Nah, I don't like that. I want to transition away from it. Or are you just straight up clean slate and just not really worried about what was kind of happening prior to you coming there?
No, that's a great question, and a great thing that you say that. Yeah, there's a few things I would, if I put a percentage on it, it's about 40% or so that they've done in the past that I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's good.
Yeah.
A few of their recruiting tactics fit Sterling. I mean, it's a different fit here, and that fits style of player and kids that they've been getting for sure. And so those things, and I kept a recruiting coordinator to keep that rolling, keep that intact for sure, and shuffle some other guys around because I felt they fit with me. They fit this position or this side of the ball better than the other, and they voiced that as well. And so it's been really good. I would say you don't want to. You can. I mean, I'm not saying you can't. But for me to keep the continuity of majority of the guys, around 40% of things that they've done, I've kept, and that's off the field stuff. I won't say any of the on the field stuff has been.
Now, as far as the you said half and half, so the 4 guys that you brought on, what did you have any prior relationships to those guys to kind of have somebody there on campus?
No relationships with them. I had relationships with, I was close to a few coaches from my past that knew of them and vouched for them, and it made it a little bit more easier to get the nod on those guys for sure.
No doubt. If you don't have that personal experience to trust them directly, you just lean on somebody that you trust to stand on the table for them and kind of use that stamp of approval. Now, as far as building a program, you're using this foundation of P.R.I.D.E, the acronym P.R.I.D.E. Tell us a little bit about what that stands for, that acronym, and why you chose it and how you're implementing in that program. So
this goes back to I would say 6 years ago. I was reading the book. It's a coach's book, but it's a game plan for fatherhood. And it mentioned in there, what is your game plan for your household? And he had an acronym in there, and me and my wife sat down. I said, babe, I've been reading this book. I came up with this acronym for our household. I have 2 boys, 5 and 7. And I went over with her, and I was like, hey, pride. I said, passion, responsibility, integrity, determination, and excellence. And she was like, man, that's great. I was like, I'm not going to do it unless you're on board with it and you think, our little boys would be fine with this and that they can understand it. She was like, yes. So, and I tell the guys that this didn't come from me saying, oh, when I get a head coaching opportunity, I got the great acronym. I mean, this is in my house. Yeah. I mean, this is what we believe as a household. And if I'm teaching my young boys this and I get an opportunity to be in front of young men as a head coach, it's the same thing I want to implement to them. And then it goes further because it's passion in Christ. It's a responsibility to learn and press on towards the goal. I have a responsibility as a coach to coach you, but as a player, you got the responsibility to take the coaching. Just as well as in the classroom, you have the responsibility as a professor to teach. Well, as a player and an athlete, student athlete, you got a responsibility to take that teaching as well as getting extra help if you need it. That's your responsibility. And then integrity, because we're going to be in a community, you're going to be on campus, so you got to have that integrity to know that people are watching you at all times. Sterling's not big, so and football is like the thing here, so everybody's going to know everybody when it comes to football. And then have that determination to press on. And there's going to be times on the field. There's going to be times that you're the backup. There's going to be times where you don't understand a subject, but you got to have that determination. Either you're going to dig under the fence, you're going to run through that fence, or you're going to climb that fence. But you got to have the determination to get through it. And then we're going to be excellent. We're going to be excellent in serving others. And so the best prime example of that is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ when he was on this earth serving. So we're going to serve. And we're not going to ask for anything in return. We're just going to serve because the goodness out of our heart to serve. And that's what we stand on, and that's what I stand by in P.R.I.D.E. And it's been in my household, it's in my veins, and it's been great. And that's what we stand on, and that's what that stands for. And you see that everywhere.
Man, that's absolutely phenomenal, man. I love that, and the aspect that I probably love more than anything, because here's the reality: you go to any football program, there's something on the wall. It's some type of acronym. Number one is sometimes it's nothing more than that, a decoration on the wall that you bring recruits in, you point at it and say, yeah, this is what we do. It's pride. And then, it doesn't go beyond that. But the fact that it's good enough for, the Jackson sons, it's good enough for those 105 or, 85, however many you got in that locker room. And that probably goes further than anything. It's not a different set of requirements to be a student athlete versus what your sons and your family's built on, and that's phenomenal, Coach. So I love hearing that and love seeing that. Now you mentioned Trinity Bible College a second ago, right? And so you had an impressive turnaround as the head coach there. How does that role compare to this one? What are some of the similarities that you've seen upon taking this role?
Similarities is we're a faith-based institution. We're going to speak about God. We're going to talk about God, and we're going to live it. We're going to live it out. And the other similarities is we played NAIA teams. I've been in that world, so I understand what it's like, what it is to need to compete in that world. And at Trinity, we were a lot smaller when it came to roster size. And here, I'm enjoying it because we do have a decent sized roster to be able to compete week in and week out. We are in a small town. Trinity's in a small town, so that wasn't a problem for me to do that. You have to recruit, and you can't sugarcoat it. You just got to be upfront where you're at. But with that being said, it's a tight knit town, just like there. You might not have the glamorous things. We didn't have the glamorous things there. We don't have the glamorous things here. But I can tell you, we will compete. We will be ready, and I will have you ready to charge that field when it's time to do it. So it's been great, and I look at it as that. But this is a little bit on another stepping stool compared to Trinity Bible College in that aspect. There, we weren't in a set conference, but we were in that along North Star with the North Dakota schools and stuff. So it's been great, and I'm enjoying. There's a lot of things that happen there that I can take with me here, and then I see it or stop it before it happens because I went through it there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to make the point to. It's like it's nice to be able to have that handful of similarities to where you can kind of lean on some prior experiences. But on the flip side, there's probably some differences, right? Some stuff that's way different. Just what a couple of those differences that, just are easy to stand out, because I'm sure there's thousands when you start getting into the details. But, some common differences that you got to approach a little differently.
Oh, for sure. You got to our facilities are better as far as the weight room.
Yeah.
As far as the stadium, as far as our aid, institutional aid, scholarship aid that we give is better.
Yeah.
For sure. Having a support for it is better. Being in a conference helps a whole lot better,
Okay.
because you're going to have that schedule full every year.
Right.
Instead of having to hunt around for extra games. So those are the main ones that I would say that stick out the most big time.
Well, I say this. I don't know if you're doing just a great head coaching job, talking it up, but the good thing is the cons are all. It sounds like they're all a little bit better. I mean, not the cons. Excuse me. The differences are all a little bit better. It's a little bit better situation, a little bit more financial. All these kind of things are kind of put you in a better situation, because the differences could have been like, well, Holy Trinity's facilities were better. These are a little worse. So it sounds like it's a better situation for you to be in and maybe take advantage of some of those things, especially in the recruiting process. Now, just real quick, and there might not be an answer here for this question, but I am interested. I've never had the opportunity to coach at a faith-based institution. And I know every place you go to, recruiting is just so much different. But whenever it's time to go find a student athlete, a lot of the stuff initially you're able to see on the film, you're able to see on a sheet of paper, transcripts. When you start diving into that faith-based thing, how does that conversation usually start from a recruiting standpoint? I mean, do you already know kind of what schools you go to, or does it matter if the kid already is on his faith-based journey before you start recruiting him? Sorry, that's a long question there.
No, that's actually a really, really, that's a great question, because different faith-based institutions are different how they handle that.
Yeah.
And I've been at other ones that handle it different. So here, we let them, we say, hey, we're a Christian institution, but there's no, we don't have any boundaries. Like he can know absolutely know zero things about the Bible or Jesus Christ, because we're evangelical. So as long as he understands and is acceptable to chapel, acceptable to Old Testament and New Testament, we can recruit him, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to spread Christ and Jesus to those non-believers as well. So we're not going to turn back any student athlete at all. They just have to be acceptable to it. And we know up front, like, this is who we are. Right. I've been at institutions where you have to sign a statement of faith before that kid can even come here. But that's not the same here at Sterling.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's actually what I saw quite a few times, whether it was maybe seeing some jobs pop up on the scoop at some point in time, and you had to write a statement of faith to even have the opportunity to be an employee there, and like you mentioned, the student athletes having to sign that. So it does differ just a little bit in terms of that. Now, before I let you go here, man, I've definitely enjoyed my time with you. Anytime I send an email out to guys, I mean, anytime I got something going on, I can always look forward to a great text from you. Always willing to help, always willing to pour back into this great game, into the coaches that are a part of it. I think you taught. What did you do this year? Skills and drills. You did something, right? You're always down to do something, and then you were part of our 35 under 35 class. How have these experiences helped you develop as a coach? And then, what would you say to another coach to encourage them to pursue similar opportunities, speak, write for us, be a part of committees, apply for 35 under 35, any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I look back on it when I was just getting into it and going to the convention and listening to speakers and taking notes down and rubbing elbows with guys and building, true, real relationships, and just not a casual text here and there. And I realized that when I get that, and I was young, I was like, I want to have that opportunity. I want to be able to show face and be out there, because you learn from everybody. There's all types of things you learn, whether it's good or bad, you're still learning something. Right. And so when I had an opportunity to write, or I had an opportunity to do a skills and drills or talk, I'm not going to say no to that, because for one, it gets you in front of people. For two, you're showing what you know and how you learn and how you're giving that to your players. And for three, I just like talking ball. I mean, I like talking ball and what I know and what the other person knows, and we collaborate, and there might be something new I learn or something new they learn, to be out there. And for two, I mean, job opportunities, when you're out there showing yourself, you never know what you can run into. And piggybacking off of that, what you do is your resume. vice president of athletics is here at Sterling. We worked together at Liberty University. He was on offense, I was on defense, and that opened up a door for me here. So what you do is your resume, whether it's on or off the field, or whoever's on their staff, which you never know where they're going next. You never know what they're going to do next, but you keep that, what you're doing in your resume going in the right direction, you have a great opportunity. And AFCA has been good to me and my family, and so I'm going to pour back to some young coach to see me on here and we have an opportunity to do it as well.
Man, I love that you pointed out the kind of that Brian Metz, tight ends coach at University of Ohio. He said networking vertically or networking horizontally. I'm sure I butchered kind of what he said, but networking out is what it was. But he was talking about how, especially as young coaches, and I was guilty of it when I was a young coach, man, showing up at that convention, man, I'm trying to go find Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, and them dudes don't want to see me. But I wasn't always taking just care of the networking out to where it was the guys that were in the same role as myself. And I'm looking now at 36, 37 years old, and man, these dudes are, head coaches now. They're coordinators, they're P5s and all that kind of stuff. And, you're in 2017 working right next to a guy who's in a position to, help you probably get hired there at Sterling. And that's just crazy. At that point in time, y'all were even on the totem pole. And now he's in a position to help leverage and help you out. That's amazing to point out.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyways, Coach, thanks for sharing that, man. As always, do appreciate you hopping on and being willing to share with the association. Now, before I let you go, anybody who wants to keep up with Sterling's journey this year and your personal journey, or ask questions or anything like that, would you mind sharing your social media accounts so people can keep up?
Yeah. Instagram is Coach DJack. My Twitter is Coach Jackson623. My email is darren.jackson@sterling.edu. And if you want to shoot me a text or something, that doesn't bother me none. It's 804-654-9478 is my cell.
Coach, man, I appreciate you being open with all your lines of contact. Coaches take advantage of it. Wealth of knowledge. Just a fantastic human being. Coach, we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to AFCApodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Inside the Headset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at AFCA.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit AFCAinsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter at Coach Mario Price. And remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.